Welcome to Atlanta News First Investigates. Behind the investigation, I'm investigative reporter Andy Parati, and joining me now is my colleague, Sierra Cummings. How you doing, Sierra?
I'm good. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. We've got another installment of your Misdeeds investigative series where people are accused of stealing other people's homes.
Yeah.
This one is really wild because for the first time, someone has been charged with a crime for doing it. Explain why this is so unique.
Yeah, so misdeeds is kind of a play off of the crime known as deed theft. It's when someone steals the deed or the title to someone's home or condo, anything you own. And we'd found in our reporting over the last year or two that in the state of Georgia, you didn't have to prove you were the homeowner when you were filing deed paperwork. You didn't have to provide ID. And so in effect, these thieves were exploiting that loophole. Our reporting was credited for helping get a law change mandating ID, and that's all great. And under this law, people can be penalized criminally. Since this law has been in effect, it went into effect January 2025, so just a few months ago, this is one of the first cases we're learning about that's actually been tried. It was a very quick case because this woman was arrested, she pled guilty, and she's since been sentenced to stealing the titles of homes in Macon, that's Bibb County in Georgia, and some lawyers in Atlanta and families in Atlanta say she's done the same right here in Fulton County.
Let's take a watch.
We turned it into my office.
Melissa Sanis takes us through her Atlanta home.
I hang out in there a lot.
To the office.
Those are all the chapters.
Where she's writing a novel.
Full-time job.
But there's another story unfolding at this house, too. One she wishes was fiction. Do you know anybody by the name of Angela Spradley?
No, never heard of her.
Except Spradley is the so-called new owner of Melissa's house.
It is absolutely shocking.
A property the Sanis rebuilt from the ground up.
We worked really hard to get there.
Real estate transactions confirm they bought the house in 2021. Yet Angela Spradley's name is listed as the grantee in this deed transfer. It shows an LLC transfer ownership of the Sanis house to Spradley, making her the owner. A fraudulent document, according to Sanis. A document that doesn't make sense because an LLC did not own the house in the first place to even give it away to Spradley.
We are trained to think that we've got to hold our purses closer to us when we're walking through a parking lot, or we know not to leave keys in our car. But you never think someone's going to actually come in and not just rob you of the things inside your home, but try to steal your actual home.
The allegedly forged document filed in the Fulton County Clerk's office March 2022. Around that same time, multiple other deeds transferred Atlanta homes over to Spradley. Possible because up until 2025, Georgia had a loophole in state law. Atlanta News First Investigations expose and help close it. Previously, state policy did not require identification when filing or transferring a deed, meaning the state did not require anyone to actually prove they own the very property for the paperwork which they're filing. Thieves stealing the title to houses, like Spradley, whose alleged forgery did not stop in Atlanta. In Bibb County, she was arrested, sentenced, and convicted for stealing 5 properties there.
If you do this in our community, you're going to be held accountable.
For so long, families say law enforcement inaction meant they had to pursue their own deed fraud cases civilly. But now, some judicial circuits are pursuing this criminally. Macon District Attorney Anita Howard and Assistant District Attorney Jeremy Johnson took on the case against Spradley.
It was my first case like this in the office, and it's one of the reasons, admittedly, why I dove so deep into it, because it was interesting to me, because I didn't realize that it was so easy in that situation for something like this to happen.
In order to seek justice, oftentimes we must go beyond the surface, and that's exactly what he did.
Records suggest Spradley forged deed transfers on at least 5 Macon properties. This first location helped unravel the scheme. A couple leaves their house for an extended period. When the husband returns, he finds it like this.
And so immediately, he called his wife and saying like, "Hey, our house is boarded up. It look like it's about to sell."
Even posted for sale on Realtor.com. When the DA's office began looking into this property, that's when they found Spradley's name on the others.
She actually took the deeds into the clerk's office and filed them on the same day.
So it's like a dead giveaway.
Yes, that was the first red flag.
At least 3 of the properties she sold to an unsuspecting buyer for $7,500. Spradley pled guilty to theft by deception, forgery, filing false documents, making false statements, and false swearing for all 5 Macon properties.
They think, well, they're not going to care about these property crimes. But that's why it's so important that as, law enforcement and prosecutors, that we pursue these crimes.
Back in Atlanta, there's no criminal case against Spradley's alleged forgeries, leaving families like the Santis hopeful that local officials seek prosecution too.
Your home is your safe haven. You never think someone's going to come along and try to take your actual home, the walls of your home, away from you.
Sierra, 2 things. 1, that woman's house is amazing.
nice.
2, is she going to pursue criminal charges?
Her house is amazing, so I want to address that. And as we said in the story, the family built it from the ground up. They had
Yeah.
bought a property but rebuilt it. So
Yeah.
excellent work. It really inspired me to dig further into interior design here. They are not pursuing this case civilly. And interestingly enough, I think they're just not afraid at this point because Miss Angela Spradley is in prison. Her sentence was for 5 years in prison and 20 years on probation. So just in the immediate period, they don't feel at risk. But their attorney filed an affidavit in the county clerk's office, which is essentially a sworn statement saying, hey, we're aware that there's been some alleged fraudulent activity on the title, on the deed, but Melissa and her husband are the true homeowners. Now, it doesn't stop anything if Miss Spradley chooses to go forward with this alleged deed fraud, but it does kind of wave a red flag for anybody looking at records that, hey, something is not right about this chain of command. So they're not pursuing it civilly, but that kind of begs the question, right, about criminal charges. One of the reasons why we wanted to do this story, and I was telling you, is because this is one of those first cases where we're actually seeing prosecutors, law enforcement pursue this as a criminal offense. And the Bibb County officials there, the sheriff's office and the DA's office, said they work together along with the clerk's office, and they're really encouraging other officials across the state of Georgia to pursue these alleged crimes criminally. And, as things stand right now in the Fulton County court system, we've reached out to the district attorney's office, told them about our findings, told them about Angela Spradley, told them about the home she was charged for in Macon-Bibb County. We've reached out several times and we have not heard back. So it seems as it stands now, there is not a criminal case against Miss Angela Spradley in these so-called alleged forged deeds here in Atlanta.
Okay, so Melissa not moving forward with a civil case. It's hard to squeeze blood out of a turnip at this point if she's already detained, and then the DA's office is kind of a maybe at this point.
A maybe.
Yeah.
We'll have to keep checking in to see. Obviously, like our district attorney's office had a lot on their hands over the last few years. And so naturally, you can understand that maybe they want to prioritize different crimes, violent crimes. We have political crimes or alleged political crimes and all those things. So it is up to them to set the priority. And the city of Atlanta and Fulton County it's such a big area. We understand that violent crimes are their priority, but it'll be interesting to see if the shift happens here in the metro.
Yeah. Since you've been producing this incredible series, I've seen advertisements on Atlanta News First, in particular our streaming app, of companies offering services to prevent this type of stuff. And it made me think, how often is this happening if there are companies trying to sell you something to prevent deed theft. I thought that was like so fascinating and also scary.
Yeah, it's kind of confusing because remember, deed theft in many ways prior to this law being changed could not necessarily be prevented, right? We have title insurance, and that is a conversation that we've talked about in this series. There's two types of title insurance. There's a title insurance that covers all the things prior to you buying the house, but it doesn't stop future deed theft. And so, you know, it's important. We're not discouraging people from getting the title insurance, but it does help you fight a case if something has gone wrong with the deed prior to you buying and owning the home. Then you've got another specialty insurance that you've probably seen ads for. It's a little more expensive, but it's because it's that specialized insurance, and it does help you for future instances. So if someone does try to file a fraudulent deed on your home, you've got this title insurance. But again, it does not stop the deed theft from happening. This is kind of aiding you in the court process. Now you've got insurance companies behind you that are giving you the resources to fight this civilly.
Right.
What was really missing all along was that closing the loophole in state law in the first place, making sure people prove they say or prove they are who they say they are when they, you know, file deed or title documents. Obviously, like, this isn't the end all be all. Creating a law that mandates identification, fraudsters are smart. We don't give them enough credit. So there certainly is a such thing as fake IDs. There's such thing as, you know, fraudulent documents with your address.
If an 18-year-old can get a fake ID, I'm sure someone else can.
Exactly. So that, in many ways, like, we appreciate that. So many people appreciate the closure of the loophole. But, you know, if you want to scam, sometimes you got to be intelligent. So it'll be interesting to see how things change over the coming years. But yeah, to your point, there are so many services or so many companies offering title insurance, but we want to be clear.
It's different.
It is different, and it does not necessarily stop deed theft.
Yeah.
Fraudsters and scammers are going to do what they want to do, but it's certainly great that you can have the resources to fight it.
Yeah, thank you for clearing that up. Final question. Any idea what the backgrounds of these fraudsters are? Like, immediately what I'm thinking when I'm seeing, what is her name, Miss?
Asia Spradley,
Yeah,
yes.
like, what is her background? Was she a former real estate agent or something? Like, how did they know to do this? Because it's such a specific type of crime.
I know. You wonder if there is some kind of network of this type of fraud. She does not have a real estate background from what we can tell. It doesn't seem that way at all. No formal training in real estate or even professional certification. So there has been theories about, okay, is there kind of a network of fraudsters kind of informing people across the state that, hey, I was able to do this here, maybe you can try it here. But, you know, it's really unclear, like, the background of all the scammers. We felt guilty sometimes in this reporting because some people will reach out to us and say, hey, like, you're letting the scammers know that this is an easy crime to get away with. So it was like a catch-22.
Yeah.
So you wonder if some of that reporting, trying to expose the loophole with the intent to close it, did kind of inform potential fraudsters.
Well, it's always good to shed light on an
Yes.
issue. And thank you for all of your reporting, for the impact that you've made. And you can watch more of Sierra's investigative series, Misdeeds, on Atlanta News First or anywhere where you get your podcasts.